Hi friends, this is Caitlin. Um, Sorry while I try to fix this camera setting. Um, I am going live on YouTube for the first time on my own channel. Who knows if anyone is going to watch this? But hopefully someone will come to hang out or you will catch it later, and that's okay too. But I figured I would at least try this and see how it goes. If you don't know, I go live every um, Tuesday and Thursday with Pink and Maine on their YouTube channel. And so I personally feel very comfortable going live. So yeah, if you stop by and you want to say hi, I'd love to see you in the chat. But otherwise, I'm just planning on hanging out and doing some coloring, which is what I would kind of normally be doing right now anyway, but I figured I might as well do it with you guys. Hey, Connie, thank you so much for checking in. And I see Lori checking in too. Thank you guys so much. Um, I am going to start I'm coloring some of these images from this My Favorite Things stamp set. This is the Gnome for the holidays. I don't have an exact idea of what I'm going to do with it once it's done. Um, I really like this stamp set and I thought it would be a cute one, kind of like no matter what I end up doing with it, I can use it for something. And haven't had a chance to color this giant gingerbread house yet. So if anybody has any questions, um, you can always feel free to ask those in the chat too. But yeah, I just thought it would be fun to kind of try something different today. So I'm stamping these guys out on my Misty. I'm going to be stamping them in Honeybee Stamps Intense Black ink, which is my favorite kind of coloring ink. Hey, Jess, thanks for checking in. I'm stamping on Copic Express It paper. Hey, Beverly. It's so nice to see all Pink and Main friends over here. That makes me so excited. This is my first ever live on my own channel. It's weird but fun. I thought I'd keep it a little more casual to start out, and we're just going to color a little bit. I hope everyone's having a good weekend. At least maybe a restful one. You know, this upcoming week can be pretty crazy if you're in the US. So much family stuff going on. Perfect. Let me just trim this off so it's not so crackly. But otherwise, I don't really have like a set color scheme in mind for this. I think I'll just color and then figure it out afterwards. Don't need that. Making room so I can get to my Copics. There we go. Camera's kind of in my face, but I think you guys will forgive me for that. I definitely want the gingerbread to be gingerbread, so let's start there, I guess. Let's go E15. Is anybody else who's watching crafting? Are you guys just hanging out? I don't know about you, but I love to watch YouTube while I craft. Not always crafting YouTube. Sometimes it's podcasts or like weird things like ghost hunting videos. But it's nice. I like to have video background noise instead of just music. I'm just kind of outlining the bottom sections of this house. Switch to the E13 to blend that out. And E13 and 15 just blend together so effortlessly. They're like amazing to work with. Oh, Jess is a fellow ghost hunt watcher and a true crime podcast. See, true crime makes me anxious. Thinking about terrible things that have happened to people in real life. That makes me anxious. So I don't, the podcasts I watch are a little more silly, but I know a lot of people are super fascinated with true crime. I should have been cleaning all day, Jess, but that's not how the day went for me. That's okay. I'll make it up for it tomorrow. I'm just going back in with the 15 to add a little more shadow to some of these areas. My latest shade was an E11. And you know what? I really want inside of these windows to be darker. But I'm going to treat the door and the window as if they've been glued on with icing. So in my mind, those like ledges are icing. Oh, see, Connie, I think cold cases being solved would probably be okay for me because then it feels like you're seeing justice, right? Maybe that, although I remember watching like America's Most Wanted as a kid, like way too young. I should not have been watching that. And I think that's where my dislike of true crime stuff comes from. Trying to decide if that tree should be gingerbread or not. Let's do an easy one and jump over to the candy canes. I'm going to take some C3 and run those along the inner curve. Of both candy canes. So C1 to blend that out. Give that a second to dry. And let's see, C3. The kind of like edges of the door and the window frame. Be my white icing, like royal icing. It should be dry enough. I'm going to come in with 29. I'm just shading every other little section. And I want them to be not mirrored. So shift one down. Just like that. That's like the easiest little hack to shading in candy canes without having to do like a ton of work and worrying about shading the white and the red separately. That gray most of the time I've figured out is enough to shade both. I feel like the roof would be icing too. I just don't want it to be too plain. Some of that C3 right along that inner edge. Come around that not fireplace, chimney. Okay. And just some like curve line shadows. Thanks, Susie. I agree. I think that the gray and red really stand out, but having that, letting that gray be the shadow for both will just save you so much time. Especially for something so little. But I also think it's nice to start adding in some color. You're working on kind of like a little scene like this. It takes some of that blank paper fear away from me. Just like getting some color down on the page. And it's looking nice and frosty, like that. I think I want inside my gingerbread house to look kind of warm. So I think I'm going to take a soft yellow. Just add a little light in there, like it's just glowing in there. I guess maybe red. Maybe we'll keep this really traditional. Isn't that so crazy how that gray looks like, especially from down here, doesn't look like much, but once you see it like that, you really get all of that depth. I think it's so fun. For the, I want this to kind of look like a little gumdrop that got glued, that got frostinged on to the front of this. So I'm going in and just making all these little dots. And I'm going to leave some white space. But this is what's going to kind of give that sugary, sugared kind of texture, I think. Fill in some of that. We'll give it a little like sparkle afterwards with some actual glitter. I think we should go with a red doorknob. And some of these little gummies can start getting shaded. gnat. I just get so attracted to all these lights. If anybody has requests for, you know, not that I'm promising that these are going to be an all the time thing over here, but if you have requests or ideas for things you'd like to see live, or kind of like topics at least, maybe we could talk about. If coloring is just nice and enough, or if there's anything that you wish could see someone do live that they're not doing with card making, I'm definitely open to input. I definitely think I want to start bringing in some green. I think we're just going to go super traditional Christmas colors over here. Green. I want like a fine bright green. Maybe like a yellow green. Oh, gnome beards. You can definitely work on some hair stuff. Beards and hair, I know, is like a big thing for a lot of people. And I am not claiming to be an expert either, but I think I get so much better with practice that I definitely don't mind practicing that on here with you guys. Darker green. What was my dark green is not dark enough. Regular G added in the mix. Here. That's much better. Just want to bump up that contrast. Like that's fine. Oh, Connie, I promise it's not as scary as it seems. Coloring with Copics, or even if you get some of the like the Olos or like Spectrum Noirs, they're a little less intimidating, I think, because the price point's just a little less. And Fancy, I am coloring on Copic Express It paper, which I personally get off of Amazon. It's not the cheapest, but it's been amazing to work on. I have zero complaints. As far as like my inks don't smear on here, my markers work beautifully. I do also know Amy Young, who is a very good friend and co-colorer now from Sweet November Stamps. She goes between Copic Express It and Catherine Pooler paper. I started using Copic Express It from her. And I just loved it so much I didn't try the Catherine Pooler, but you could definitely look into that. Let me check. I have the package of it. says how thick it is. It says it's 20 GSM. I don't know what that means in like how we say like 20 pound, whatever pound. I'm not sure. I'd say it feels like a 60 or 80 maybe. It's definitely not super thick. There's no way it's 100 or more. So whatever 20 GSM is, that's what the packaging looks like. But I use it in my printer for digital stamps, and I use it for regular stamping, and it works perfect for all of that for me. I know not everybody out there is a digital stamp user, just in case. I'm a little out of the lines. You can see with most things that I color, especially if they're like cutesy and cartoony, my kind of go-to is either outlining the edges and going lighter in the center, or like on this top section, this is just such a heavy icing on the top. I really wanted there to be shadow coming from underneath of that. But my usual go-to is kind of darkening the edges. Hey Jess, thanks for checking in. I'm just trying out my first live on my own channel. I figured I'd just go ahead and jump into it. I was going to color tonight anyway, so why not? Shading in that icing, kind of like snow on the tree. Oh, thanks, Jess. Jess is one of the first card making YouTube people that ever reached out and was like nice to me. Thank you for being so welcoming in this community. There's a lot of really nice people in this community, but there's also some people that are not. So I would love to celebrate Jess for that. And see if Fancy loves you too. There you go. She has good taste. I'm gonna add a little red to the top of the chimney, just because doing white on white on white up there, I feel like it's gonna look weird. Oh, cool grays for snow. For actual coloring in like real snow, this I'm going with cool grays for these because I want this to look like frosting. But for if I'm coloring in actual snow, I use BV or BG markers more often than anything else. Let me see if I can find one to show in with some of my recent projects over here. Of course, mine has some. There's some, but they're not colored. This, I posted this one today. So all of my snow on this one is shaded in with super light B markers. It's a little bit hard to see on the camera, but it's with like a B01, B00, B000. and just shade it out and blend it out from there. But I do prefer to use color on my snowy cards because I think that there would be reflecting colors. The color would be reflecting from the sky. Color would be, they wouldn't just be plain white. And I also feel like on a big scene card, sometimes it can just look a little like flat. Yeah. But yeah, you can get crazy with snow. I've seen people, especially if you're doing like a night scene with snow, bring in all kinds of dark blues or dark purples and really have fun with all that shadowing and shading. It's pretty cool. But for something like this that I do want to look like that royal icing, definitely cool grays. And you can also combine them. Like sometimes I'll throw in some grays for my deepest shadow parts and then blend them out with the lighter colors. So, well, thank you. I always just feel like it looks so much different down on the table too. So now we just have a little bit of red. I'm going to go in and add some more of those cool grays on this bottom part. Like the icing glued, whatever that is, the red stuff to the top. Perfect. What are we going to do for the bottom? I'm thinking maybe just more cool grays because, but maybe a little darker one. We will bring in a little C5 just because we need to really make this stretch. But this kind of has the look. I'm just kind of imagining if my kids and I were decorating a gingerbread house and they were just like going crazy, adding stuff and gluing stuff down. I could just picture them putting like a giant dribble of icing across the bottom or the plate or whatever we were working on, and then sticking all these little stones and stuff in there. So that's what I'm gonna do. So that was at C5. Just gonna kind of extend that line a little bit. Two. Oh, Jess, that's so smart. Thanks, Cindy. Yeah, Jess said that they make those pre-built gingerbread houses. We have not used those, but that is so smart. Because I feel like half the time we would just like hot glue the gingerbread house part together because it's too hard to like do it for real out of icing the whole thing. And I'm gonna, especially on this side where there's this big wide open space, I'm gonna really hold the side of my marker nib down and let that color kind of eat away at some of that white space. Because it's okay for there to be white still there. I just don't want it to just like stand out that there's nothing over there versus how much shading there is everywhere else. And this kind of has this like little line that makes it look like something's under there connecting everything. I don't know what to do with that. yeah, just I'm definitely going to get one of those pre-built for the kids because I feel like that's literally going to be a game changer. Yes, coloring does take some patience. But I also think for me, maybe we'll do that as like chocolate. Maybe we threw down some chocolate. Um, I most of the time use coloring like in a very therapeutic way. Even doing this live with you is like I don't have any anxiety about it. I wasn't nervous to like hit the go live button. Um, Coloring has always just been really soothing for me. I started card making because I was dealing with some postpartum depression, and had to be really careful what kind of content I was consuming. And so, like, I couldn't watch any movies or shows that were upsetting. Um, and my husband was trying to like pre-screen stuff, new stuff we hadn't seen before. And even some of my like tried and true favorites, like Gilmore Girls and stuff, some of those episodes would get me so upset. Um, so I was watching a lot of Bob Ross, and I ran out of Bob Ross episodes that were free and available online. And so I went on YouTube to find artists coloring. Um, to see like what there was. And I found a few people. I found Angie at Chicken Scratch. She does like Stampin' Up stuff. And I found Kelly Letivola, now Taylor. Um, and I just started watching them and I fell in love. And then after like a year of just watching and not making anything at all, I Lawn Fawn came out with a pumpkin spice stamp set that I fell in love with. And I am a pumpkin spice girly. So I was like, oh well, I'll just get this one little stamp set and I'll make my like one little thing I want to make. And then I'll just be done. And that's okay. Um, and that was like 5 years ago. And now here we are. So for me, card making and coloring have always been generally very calming. Now that I'm doing design team stuff and working with some companies, there are times where the deadline parts can kind of get to me. But for the most part, the actual creating is still like a wonderful break for my brain. It's something I definitely look forward to. It doesn't feel like a chore. Right? I'm glad everybody loves Kelly. She's such a good colorist and she's just honestly seems like such a good person. She's somebody that, if they ever, well, I guess they're starting to now, right? But like as stuff starts kind of reopening back up in the world post-COVID, that if there were like traveling retreats or something, she is somebody I would travel to go see. Ohio's not close to Delaware, but it's not that far. Oh, see, for me, this doesn't even feel like a scene, Jess. This feels like just a large stamp versus like some of the like big scenes that I've done where it's like you're filling in the whole thing and maybe making most of the background up yourself. Those can be really daunting. Those I definitely have to be in the right mood for. Um, like my Sweet November stamps cards most of the time are like fall in that category, or like Stamping Bella, a lot of their stuff it gets really detailed for me. But this feels easier because it's like your whole scene is just one stamp, one and done. And I also find that just by like chunking these into like halves or thirds makes it a lot less daunting to color. Oh, Nancy, I feel for you. That gets you so nervous, or got you so nervous, at least in the beginning. I think it's important to still remember that, like, yeah, it's not cheap paper, but it is still just paper. So it's okay if it doesn't turn out perfect. It's supposed to be fun. There we go. Guys, I like that. That came out cute. Let's see. I want some chunky white highlights. So I have a 10 jelly roll here. We're gonna add some highlights to my candy canes. We'll go in and add some more of those white dots back to there. And same with this guy. I want this to look a little sugary. Maybe the top of this green one too. If you break up that black outline a little bit, it'll help it to look that kind of sugary look too. Kind of adding a white highlight to a white object can be a little daunting. So I actually go over some of the darker shadows, which I'm pretty sure doesn't actually make sense, like scientifically, because there wouldn't be highlights there because there's shadows there. But it just lets your highlights stand out, right? Like otherwise you're not going to see them. So I just think that's really cute. I'll give some highlight to this little red candy thing. Yeah, it's cute. Door handle, a little highlight. Maybe some of the little rocks. Not all of the rocks though. Yeah, that's cute. Kind of using that gel pen to clean up any areas where my gingerbread colors got mixed into my icing colors. There you go. Oh, me too, guys. I love watching other people color. I watch a ton of like, obviously like the Jennifer McGuire's and Gina K's and Kathy Zilski's. But I also like I love watching Amy. Amy has a Facebook group called Adventures in Coloring with Amy, and she colors live over there. I love watching her color. I could, and I mean, her lives are like 3 hours long because she just, when she does a scene, she like does a scene. Um, but I've learned so much from her and from some really cool. I've taken a couple Sandy Allnock classes. Those are nice because if you catch them, especially like I have no insider information, but she usually does some kind of like Black Friday sales. And if you can catch some of her classes when she's having a sale, they're so inexpensive for what you're getting. And then you can take them whenever you want, which is nice. I'm interested too, if has anybody done like taken any of these like summit or like camp, card making camp kind of things where it's like more like a live event. I've taught it some, but I haven't participated in them from the other side. Yes, Cindy, I can. Amy Young is the lead illustrator and like part owner of Sweet November Stamps. But when we're done, I will 100%, I can go back in and add her, their YouTube channel and then leave a link for her Facebook page in the description because she's great. All right, I just shaded in his little hat, red to match. I think we'll go traditional, and because I'm doing so much with the cool grays, we'll just stick with cool grays. Bring in some 9. Sometimes I like to make my penguins purple, which sounds really silly, but I love a purple penguin. But I think purple with this very traditional color scheme would look a little weird. So it can be black. C9 and some C7. And I'm just warning you guys now, I'm not going to make this whole card tonight. This was just to come and hang out and color. Whatever these end up being will be, I've been guest designing for my favorite things for their sketch challenges. So this will end up being a challenge card, like an inspiration challenge card, either next week. So I want to keep the actual like sketch layout a surprise. I thought it would still be fun to come on and just get some coloring. And I'm excited that so many of you guys found me on here live because I didn't like really announce it or anything. In the future, I would plan on giving more notice and just like jumping on. But I also didn't want to not like come on just because I hadn't said anything. That's no fun either. But I wasn't going to let that hold me back, at least this time. He's so cute. I'm going to give him, that marker's too big. Let's go jelly roll number 5. Just give him some dots to help him kind of wake up a little bit. Yes, very lucky timing. All right, I guess that means this little guy needs a green hat. Let's do his hat and then we'll color in his little beard. And we'll work on shading it so that it does not look gray, it looks white. Let's see what I can do. Just kind of following the artist drawn lines there. There's like a little dip on that side. Just enhancing that. The trick with alcohol blending is really letting your marker stay on that paper long enough that the ink can kind of flow, and making sure you're overlapping your colors so that they get nice and connected. This looks like neon on my screen. But in real life, these are not quite that bright. I think it's the settings on my camera. I have a hard time with greens on this camera. We'll do his little hat, his little pom-pom and edges of his little hat white. So the trick with doing a beard, I'm going to change it up and maybe go, no, we'll just make it easier. The trick with shading in hair that you want to look white, or shading anything in white, just like we did over here, is leaving actual white space. So I'm going to start with my C3 and just kind of start pulling color up based on the artist drawn lines, right? So like where those points come together, there would be a split in the hair. And then in my head, there's one of these coming kind of from behind that foot. And we can go in and add a couple extra little flicks to break that up a little bit. And then I'm also going to pull a couple down from the side of his face. Then I'm going to jump to a C1. And pull that color up. This is kind of nice because that candy cane kind of breaks up our working space. And honestly, for how small this is, that's the extent of the shading I'm going to do. If we wanted to, we could probably come in with just like a little touch of C5 with like the lightest possible amount of pressure. Like I'm barely touching my marker to the paper. And I'm not going to do all of those flicks. We're just doing some. So that way we just get a little more definition, but I'm really going to stop it there. And now compared to everything else, it does look a little gray, but once we do the skin and the candy cane and the feet, it will all, it'll all make sense. So we'll go in with some E11 under the hat and under the nose. And you could obviously give him like little mitten hands if you want to. And we'll go in E00. Just a little more shadow there. I'm going to bring a line of E13. And then he needs red shoes. Oh no, we can bring in brown because I'll use the same browns from that little chocolate path. So the 20 family. And we'll do the same shading we did before for our candy cane. So this underside and the curve with the C3. Blend that out with C0. And then once we add this red, our beard will go from looking gray to looking this to dry for a second. To looking just taking my time, especially because I need new contacts. These are a little sticky. That's no way I had this too. And then let's do some. We'll go back to. I have a 10, a 5, and an 8 next to my desk, pretty much at all times. But there's our little gnome. I think he looks very cute. I really like how all of these turned out. I'm definitely going to glitter these. Maybe I won't glitter them for now, just because I'm not positive how exactly I'm going to use them. But if left to my own devices, I would fully glitter, like the roof and all of these. But yeah, that is my 3 little images all colored. So I think I'm going to call it a night for this first live. I promise I will go back immediately after this and add Amy's Facebook page. And I'll throw in like the link to this in case anybody after this sees it and wants to take a look. But yeah, otherwise I am just so excited. Thank you guys so much for coming to hang out. I appreciate all your kind words, all the support. Like I said, if you have any ideas for other stuff you'd like to see or a better timing for this, or if Saturday night is a cool time to hang out, that works for me too. I'm usually here at my desk anyway. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much, Joanne. I really appreciate that. That's very nice. I will definitely do this more often than at least, because I feel like it's fun to just have a little bit more casual. And if anybody out there is crafting on a Saturday night and needs someone to craft with, someone to work with, I would love to be that. So yeah, thank you all so much. I will let you know. I'll post on my channel and also on my Instagram before I go live again so that you have some of a heads up. But otherwise, have a great weekend. If I don't see you before Thursday, happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate. And yeah, be safe, guys. Happy crafting. I'll talk to you soon.